Heyo and welcome. This is a recording going to be up as a premiere because I have maybe an hour before I have to get to work and I need to get through day 36 of the Young Thug trial. So I will be in the chat during the premiere, but I don't have the time. I don't have the time. I woke up earlier to do this. So bear with me. We are speeding through part 2 of day 36. Hey! Yes, we are. We are moving right in. This is a witness, and Law and Seaward managed to get sound off. Yeah, fun times all the time. See? No sound. No sound. I bet he has a lot of interesting things to say. I don't know. I don't know. But so here we go.
Collect $970 from the scene.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And did you take a statement from then Officer Ashley Davis?
Yes.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 128C, which is already a part of evidence, and I don't want you to read anything. I just want you to acknowledge whether or not this was a statement. And you can flip over.
Seems to be an officer assault.
Yes.
Thank you.
Because he took a statement.
Yes,
This is still the flying car into laundromat case. They are still officer after officer after officer.
As part of your assistance with this investigation, did you also interview a person at Grady by the name of Frederick Crowe?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
And did you watch or view any of the interviews of other persons, Derek Dotson in particular?
Yes, ma'am.
And after watching the interview of Derek,
Again, we already know all of this. If you were with me on Monday or Friday last week, or we know the laundromat case. We already know it. So let's skip ahead to cross-examination because, oh, look at that, a sidebar. Oh, I have forgotten to update the sidebar for the last couple of days. We are at 93. Sidebar counter 93. Free. Oh yeah. Seriously. Let's go skip ahead to
Dale Crossings apartment, true?
Yes.
I don't want to.
Yes. Is that better?
And did you, that's all that,
and cross-examination.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
You and I had an opportunity to chat a little bit earlier, did we not?
Yes.
Want to ask you a little bit about your involvement in this investigation, if you don't mind.
Yes.
September the 11th of 2013, you and other detectives responded to a location at Summerdale Crossings apartment. Is that true?
That is correct, sir.
You were part of the homicide division at that point. Isn't that right?
That is correct.
At that point, you had been on the Atlanta Police Department force for 20 plus years.
Yes.
Okay. You were a detective or an investigator.
Yes, sir.
You had a significant amount of experience at that point. Am I correct?
Yes.
You responded. This wasn't a homicide, but you responded because this was an officer-involved shooting. Is that correct?
Yes. Officer-involved shooting. That is why we responded to it.
And you arrived at the location, but you were not the main detective. The lead detective on the case was Detective David Quinn. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
Would it be fair to say that you would have taken your instructions in terms of what you needed to do?
Since I'm only in chat when you all see this, become a member. Super chat if you want to, but foremost and all, keep watching and give me a thumbs up. That's it. What you need. That's all I need from you. Now, if you happen to think I'm this swell guy who you should pour all your money over, I don't mind. Okay. Okay. Okay, that was the grifting of today is done. Thank you.
From that detective.
That is correct.
You had an opportunity to observe the scene at the Summerdale Crossings apartment, true?
Yes,
And at some point, you subsequently went to a location not far from there, the laundromat, the coin laundromat that was adjacent to, my words, but not far from Summerdale Crossings.
that is correct.
Right. Am I correct that you did not, that you did interview Ashley Davis?
That is correct. Then Officer Davis was a part of the the use of force investigation. We interviewed her the day after the other officers.
Did you have occasion, do you know who Bridget Porter is, Officer Porter?
I wonder if he also erases until he gets the answers he wants, as Officer Velasquez did earlier. What a cluster F. I mean, who, even if a person lies to the officer, you can keep the recording. Why erase evidence? Jesus Christ. No, I don't know if this guy does it. We will find out. I hope.
I do remember Bridget Porter. It's been a while.
She, did you have an opportunity to speak to Officer Porter on that day?
I don't recall speaking to Officer Porter.
Okay. You did, however, at some point, do I remember correctly, that you did not, were not involved in a canvass of the area?
That is correct.
And then just to be clear, a canvass of the area means where you go around and you speak to who may be witnesses or individuals who may or may not have seen something at the location.
Yes, canvases, the officers will go sometimes door to door knocking, and anyone standing out, and specifically ask people what they may have seen or heard. I didn't do that.
Okay. What you did do, however, is that you went to Grady Hospital. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir.
And you went there specifically to interview an individual who was involved in this case. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
That gentleman's name was Frederick Prothero. Is that right?
That is correct.
All right. You got to the location, and Mr. Prothero was at the hospital. He was being treated for a gunshot wound. Isn't that correct?
That is correct.
And you had an opportunity to see him and meet with him. Is that correct?
That is correct.
You had an opportunity to speak with him.
Yes.
And as an investigator, detective, I don't want you to tell us what he said, but he did in fact speak to you. Isn't that right?
That is correct, sir.
And as part of your normal and customary duties as an investigator, you recorded that statement. Is that true?
That is correct.
And would I be correct that you recorded the statement because that is a normal part of an investigation? Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
You would certainly want to record and document what a person who was involved in the case had to say about the case. True?
That is correct.
And that's what you did.
Yes.
Nothing unusual about that, right?
That is correct.
It is customary for investigators or detectives to take the statement of witnesses who might be involved in a particular case.
Yeah, this would be the defense attorney, making it more and more obvious that this crap about erasing recorded interviews should not happen. And I guess with this objection, the prosecution just, oh, that's what they're going for. Yeah, they are, and they will keep doing that.
Oh, the objection. Go ahead.
You had a recording device with you.
Yes, sir.
Now, when you spoke to Mr. Prothero, again, I want you to tell us what he said, but you would have listened to what it was he was telling you, correct?
That is correct, sir.
And as an investigator, one of the things that you do is you record those statements because you might need to use that statement later on, right?
Yes.
In fact, you might want to take that statement and compare it against other items of evidence or other statements that you may have in a particular case. Isn't that true?
Yes, that would be the purpose of it.
And you did so in this case.
Yes, sir.
You did not at any point make a judgment about whether or not Mr. Prothero was telling you the truth or not, right?
No, sir.
Your job as an APD, Atlanta Police Department detective, is to take the statement as it was told to you and record it, correct?
That is correct.
It would not be proper for you to make a decision that you didn't believe what he said and then to erase that statement.
Basis.
Testifying, assuming facts on an evidence.
I stand objection.
Is it proper Atlanta Police Department policy to erase the statement of a witness once it's given?
No.
And with that, Officer Velasquez's testimony about it being, oh, we did that all the time, gone. Thanks to this gentleman. This seems so far to be a proper police officer.
Once a person gives a statement and it's recorded by you, an Atlanta Police Department detective, it is in fact evidence, isn't it?
That is correct.
And it is improper to destroy evidence by deleting or erasing it, correct?
I stand for him. You can rephrase it.
It is improper as a detective to delete evidence, correct?
That would be improper.
It is improper to erase evidence. Isn't that true?
That would, yes, sir.
Dun, dun, dun. Right in front of the jury. The defense here is excellent, showing that some people in the Atlanta Police Department are, in my opinion, tampering with evidence and getting away with it. How many cases? How many cases are there in Fulton County, Georgia, where police officers have erased evidence until they get the answers they want and then present that to trial? I don't want to guess. I don't want to guess. You can guess in the chat. I don't wanna.
Went to when you were there at Grady Hospital, was Detective Lewis at Grady Hospital as well?
Yes,
Okay, Detective Lewis. What's Detective Lewis's first name?
Tracy.
Tracy.
I just realized I had my microphone on a low setting, but I have already started recording and I don't have time to re-record, so bear with me.
Were there two individuals involved in the incident who were at Grady Hospital?
That is correct.
Okay. Would I be correct that you interviewed one and did Detective Lewis interview the other one?
That is correct.
All right. To your knowledge, did Detective Lewis have a recording device when he was tasked to go speak with the other individual? Excuse me.
And I don't know that she did. I can't speak to that, sir.
Okay. Was Detective Lewis a homicide investigator like you?
She was a homicide investigator. That's correct.
Did Detective Lewis back in 2013 have about the same number of years under her belt as you, or do you know?
No, I'm trying to, in my mind, I know she came to homicide. I don't know exactly when.
The name of the person that you interviewed was Frederick Profro, is that right?
That is correct, sir.
That question was to establish that she has been working with this gentleman, or maybe not side by side, but in the same department for a good number of years and should have known better. So with Detective Velasquez and anyone else in that police department who had the habit of destroying evidence, in my opinion.
Do you recall whether the name of the other person at Grady Hospital was Walter Murphy?
It was.
That would have been the person that Detective Lewis went to go deal with?
That is correct.
Am I correct that you would have written a report, all right, that documented what you did in this case and in this investigation?
Yes, sir.
That would be customary for a homicide detective to write a report documenting what they did in an investigation,
That
true?
is correct.
As an APD detective, when you write a report,
Yes, sir.
you can supplement that report later on, isn't that right?
Yes.
Okay.
You may add to it, add something. Yes, that is correct.
All right. But if you add to it, you would make a notation as to what the difference is, that you're supplementing it and this is what's being added. Isn't that right?
And I'm trying to think of the best way how I do supplements. I was common practice to do reports as you would write a report as to something, and sometimes you may have a running report that on such and such date this happened, and then somewhere under there another date. So I don't know that you would just go back and say, well, this is addition to that. It would just be something else that you learned, and there'd be chronicle like that.
Right, because it's important to document if there's additional information that comes in.
Yes.
That you then put on a separate report.
Yes.
Right?
Again, amazing cross-examination. Getting this actual veteran police officer to tell everybody and the jury, this is how it should have been done. Original report, on this day I learned, on this day I learned, on this day I learned under it. That way you can follow chronological how everything came about. Even if one of the supplements at the end of it, okay, that relates to that up there. Okay, that's how you... But no, let's erase it instead. Let's scribble it over. Let's pretend we learned it at the same time. It will be easier with warrants and stuff like that.
And that is common practice with Atlanta Police Department
Yes,
detectives.
well, it's generally what I would do, yes.
All right. One moment, please.
Let's skip ahead.
Yes, sir.
If you... Retired Detective Calhoun, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
If you believe that there is a lie or something of that nature that's...
His name is Detective Calhoun. Retired Detective Calhoun. I'm guessing the spelling here. There it is.
being told during the course of investigation by a witness.
Your Honor, objection, cause for speculation.
I stand the objection.
Are you familiar with the crime false statements?
Objection.
Making a false statement?
Yes.
Hold on, sir, hold on.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That's all right. I stand the objection.
Okay. Are you familiar, Detective Calhoun, when a person during the course of an investigation, if they make a false statement to you, what do you do with that?
Objection, relevance, and cause for speculation.
I stand the objection.
Have you ever arrested anyone for making a false statement?
No, sir.
Okay. Has anyone ever made a false statement during the course of your investigations?
Yes.
Okay. It's discretionary in terms of whether you would make an arrest for false statements?
Yes, I would say it's discretionary. People, for one reason or another, may withhold something until you find out that something is different and you go back and confront them with it. Well, you said this one time, why did you say that? It's
Right.
part of an investigation.
And as a homicide investigation, you're investigating murders, correct?
Yes,
You're not generally investigating false statements, correct?
that is correct.
And that's probably the reason that you make a decision not to make an arrest on a false statement,
Objection,
correct?
I stand the objection.
Nothing further. Thank you.
Anybody else? Yes, Mr. App.
Thank you, Your Honor. Detective Calhoun, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name's Jay App. Nice to meet you. Did your investigation in this case, it did not involve Mr. Diamante Kendrick in any way, shape, or form, isn't that correct?
I'm not even familiar who that is, sir.
Do you know this man in the white sweater sitting next to me?
No, I don't.
You don't know him at all?
I don't.
Thank you. No other questions.
Anything further from anybody? Any redirect from the state?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, may Detective Calhoun.
Okay.
Permanently or temporarily excuse the witness.
Okay, that was excellent cross-examination. They got in everything they wanted. Who is next? I kind of wanted to hear more from this. He was a good witness. And I assume that is why the state chose to not redirect, because they can't get anything from him the way they could from less ethical officers they put on the stand over and over again.
All right, retired Detective Calhoun, thank you for your patience with us. I'm going to permit excuse you to your as a witness.
First name Leonard, L-E-N-A-R-D, last name Pass, P-A-S-S.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pass.
Good afternoon.
Can you tell the jury a little bit about yourself?
Yes, my name's Lor Pass, and I used to work with the airport, teach out Fridays, and now I've just finally got my own place. I was homeless like 3 years.
Mr. Pass, do me a favor. Can you pull yourself up a little bit closer to the microphone and speak directly into it like you're outside so we
Yes,
can all
sir.
hear you, okay?
Excellent camera work from the Law and Seaward. Excellent.
And Mr. Pass, what kind of industry do you want to get into in the future, work-wise?
Work-wise, I want to get into electrical wiring.
Do you have some familiarity with that in your past?
No, sir.
And who lives with you at your apartment?
Just my dog.
What kind of dog is it?
A Chihuahua mixed with a Jack Russell.
Oh, the objection.
What's their name?
Bubby.
Now, Mr. Pass, what part or where are you from?
I'm from Atlanta, Georgia.
And where did you grow up in terms of in Atlanta?
I grew up off of Cleveland Avenue near Mount Zion Road,
And where did you go to high school?
South Carolina High School.
How did you like your neighborhood growing up?
It was nice and friendly.
How did you like your neighborhood?
They were friendly.
Now, did you ever live, or sorry, turning back to September 11th, 2013, where did you live at that period of time?
At that time, I lived in Somerdale Commons.
And roughly, how long did you live in Somerdale Commons?
About a year to 6 months.
And was that home, apartment complex, what was it?
It was an apartment complex.
Now, how many entrances are there to Somerdale apartment complex?
Only one.
Is there a gate there?
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, the state's gonna publish what's already been admitted as 11 Charlie.
All right.
Which passed, so there's gonna be a photograph that comes.
For the
up.
record,
That's-
I have no idea. This is the first time I'm watching this as well.
All right.
Okay.
Do you recognize
great.
that, Mr. Bass?
Yes.
More pictures.
And is that the gate that you were discussing for the apartment complex?
Yes, sir.
Now, would you need a code or a key to get through that gate if it was closed?
You need a code.
And if someone was to get, say you had a friend visit you and they wanted to come visit you, would you be able to buzz them in or how would that work?
You have to buzz them in.
I'm gonna publish what's also been already admitted as 12 Charlie, another photograph about the populated Mr. Bass. Now, do you recognize that photograph?
Yes, I do.
Is that how the gate would typically look?
No,
What's different about
it's off the rail.
it? And in this gate, would you enter, if you were entering the apartment complex, would it be the right side?
Yes, it would be.
And if you were exiting, would it be the part of this photograph that's closest to us?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna publish what's already been admitted as 2 Charlie, another photograph's gonna pop up Mr. Bass. Now, using this gate, is this the gate we were just talking about, the front gate?
Yes.
How would you get to your building where you live there if you were to enter this gate?
You would come in and back to the right.
Now, was there assigned parking spots here or was it park wherever you want?
Pretty much park where you want.
Now, I'm gonna publish what's been admitted as State's Exhibit 110 Charlie. Or actually, sorry, Mr. Bass, I gotta actually show you this. So I'm permission to approach, Your Honor.
You may. Have you shown that to the defense counsel already?
They have a copy of it. I'm happy to show them currently.
All right.
Yeah. I'm trying to find out more about Mr. Pass. And I don't. Let's skip ahead.
110 Charlie. Can you take a look at that?
Yes, sir.
You recognize that, Mr. Patton?
Yes.
How do you recognize it?
It's the apartment building we lived in.
And is it a fair and accurate depiction of the apartment building that you lived in?
Correct.
Your Honor, at this time, the state's gonna publish State's Exhibit 110 Charlie. Or sorry, admitted evidence 110 Charlie.
Any objection, states 110 Charlie?
Objection.
All right, states 110 Charlie is admitted and may be published as you see fit.
Now, Mr. Bass, I'm gonna ask you a small favor. So I got this pointer behind this. And so I'm gonna hand this to you. Can you do me a favor? And I'm gonna have you use that with this larger one up top.
Yes.
Can you show the jury where do you see where the apartment that you lived in the Somerdale apartment complex in this photograph?
Okay, so he's a witness to the
Okay, so right up there.
flying
Mr. Bass.
car into
Grab that back
laundromat. Then let's skip ahead to cross-examination.
What was your
And look, a sidebar. Hey! Let's sidebar counter number 94. Insanity.
do you recall
Still interviewing him? Still?
All right, so the day that this happened, you were living at Summerdale Commons apartment, true?
Correct.
All right. You were leaving the apartment on that day. And in fact, you did leave the apartment, didn't you?
Yes.
You and Mr. Dotson were in a vehicle.
Yes, sir.
You all left the location, true?
Yes.
And then you came back to Summerdale Commons apartments, right?
Yes.
All right. When you get back to the apartment complex, you are in the passenger side of the car, right?
Yes.
Mr. Dotson is on the driver's side, right?
Correct.
It is just the two of you in that vehicle at that time, right?
Correct.
All right. Now, was the car parked when all of this happened?
The car was parked.
Okay. So am I correct then that Mr. Dotson had pulled the car into a parking space?
Correct.
All right. And at some point, after the car was parked, you and Mr. Dotson, you sat in the car, listened to some music for a little while, right?
Yes.
And then you heard, or you recognized that there was someone coming up to the car door.
No, they didn't come to the car door.
Okay. They were coming towards the car. Is that right?
Mr. Dotson was already out the car. They approached him.
Okay. So Mr. Dotson gets out of the car, right?
Yes.
Are you still in the car at that time, or did you also get out?
I was getting out at that time.
You were what now?
I was getting out at that time.
Okay. Someone comes up and says something to the effect of, Dirty Red, you already know what it is, right?
You know what time it is.
You know what time it is. Right?
Yes.
You heard that.
Yes.
And the next thing you heard was a gunshot go off.
Yes.
All right. The person who came up and said Dirty Red, and that was in fact that's Derek Dotson's nickname, right? Dirty Red.
Yes.
So the person called him by his nickname, right? True?
Correct.
All right. And so at that point, you heard, you saw this person, and the person was an African-American male, a black man, right?
Yes, sir.
I know you asked earlier about the description. Did you say you don't recall telling the detective that the person had like a short afro?
Yes, I don't recall.
Okay. The person was not that tall though, right?
It's kind of, I can't really remember. I don't know.
Okay.
I wasn't that close to the person.
Okay. You were on the other side of the car.
Yes.
All right. You had a shot go off. One shot, right?
Yes, one shot.
The shot is, did you see the person shoot in the direction of Derek Dotson's feet?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Now, so if the car is right here, all right, you're on the passenger side of the car, correct?
Yes.
Derek Dotson is on the driver's side of the car, right?
He was in front of the car, on the driver's side of the car. Like you just getting out of the car and walk straight. He was walking straight from the door.
Like if this is the car right here, he's like up here near the front of the car on the driver's side.
Yes.
Okay. The person then comes and you hear the shot, right?
I heard the shot.
Right. Shot at his feet, and Mr. Dotson takes off in what direction?
He didn't take off immediately. He said, "You tripping, man? What going on?" You know, like that. And like trying to figure out is maybe somebody trying to, have a bad day or something, maybe, And then he was like, "You know what time it is?" And that's when I told him to run.
You told him to run.
I said, "Run."
Right.
And
He run.
he took out running, and I took out running. We both were left in different directions.
Okay. You ran towards the front of the apartment complex, right?
Correct.
Towards the gate.
Yes.
Mr. Dotson ran in the opposite direction, correct?
Yes.
The person with the gun ran where? After Mr. Dotson?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
You didn't see where that person went,
No, I didn't.
okay? But, and you're not looking because you're running towards the front of the apartment complex at that point, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. You don't know where the gunman went, and you don't know where Mr. Dotson went. Is that true?
No, I don't know.
Okay. You didn't see the gunman, the person with the gun, do anything after that, right?
No, I didn't.
So you're not in a position to tell this jury, I saw him go in this direction or that. You can't tell, you don't know what he did.
Who, the gunman?
Yes.
No, I don't know what the gunman did. I was running.
Right.
I know some shots were coming at me though while I was running. I was still going.
All right. When you start running, then you hear some other gunshots, don't you?
Yeah, I was gone, man.
So I need you to estimate for me, right?
Okay.
From the time you take off running, right, to the time you hear some more gunshots, how much time has passed?
I say count seconds, about 30 seconds.
Okay.
Maybe a little less.
Okay. So sounds like pretty close in time.
Yeah.
Okay. You're running, you hear some gunshots. Do you hear any more gunshots after that second series of shots?
I don't recall.
Okay. When you ran out the front gate, well, actually, before we get there, although this guy with the gun came up and said, Dirty Red, you already know what time it is. You didn't see him take anything from Mr. Dotson, did you?
He dropped the money on the ground.
What money was dropped on the ground?
Mr. Dotson, he dropped some money on the ground because we were coming back from paying bills and running errands and stuff, And he had cash on him. I had gave him my portion of my rent. He had cash on him. And I was just telling him we need to go to the bank and stuff, but we were getting lunch, and we were gonna do it. But that's what happened soon we got out the car, and I was really upset.
So your testimony is that at some point after the gunman walks up, Derek Dotson drops some cash on the ground.
No, while he after the gunman shot at the ground,
Uh-huh.
he dropped the money on the ground he had in his pocket. He said, "You can have it." Like, yeah, he didn't say you can have it, but he threw it out of his pocket, like, you know, you can have it. You know,
Okay.
he just dropped it on the ground.
And then
And I told him to run.
Uh-huh.
And I looked around and tried to see, make sure nobody else was coming, make sure I'm in the clear. And I took out running, and he took out running. Both of us left different directions.
And you saw the gunman, the guy with the gun,
I didn't-
the money that was on
I
the
didn't
ground?
see him pick it up. I was already gone.
Okay. All right. I want to jump ahead a little bit because you remember talking to a detective at some point after that, right?
Correct.
You remember the detective actually came to the apartment complex and was talking to you outside, right?
Yes.
All right. You remember telling that detective that there wasn't any money taken or you didn't see any money taken?
I don't recall telling him that.
Okay. But you certainly did talk to the detective and told him everything that you remembered on that day, right?
Correct.
And it was, let me see. If this happened on the 13th of September, it was about 5 days later on the 18th when the detective showed up to the apartment complex and spoke to you. That sound about right?
5 days? It took them 5 days to get an interview? All right. All right.
I guess it's about in the same range.
Couple days?
Yeah.
Okay. Now today, your recollection is that Dirty Red dropped some money and you didn't see the gunman pick it up, but you saw money drop, right?
Yes.
Now, I want you to think real hard and would you, after thinking about it for a while, admit that that is absolutely not what you told the detective back then?
Objection, Your Honor. It's argumentative to a point even for cross.
I'm over the objection. You can answer it.
Would I answer again?
Yes, please.
Okay. After thinking about it right now, are you willing to admit that this whole thing about dropping money on the ground, you didn't tell the detective anything about that, did you?
Objection, Your Honor.
Basis.
Willing to admit he's testifying?
I sustain the objection.
I don't remember.
Well, what
Do you know if the
what does the
detective
report
was
say?
recording your statement? when
Yes,
you
I do
spoke?
remember.
Was he?
Yes.
Okay.
Where's that recording? Did they do a
right.
Delphi and accidentally erase all the recordings?
Did I hear you say that you don't really have a good recollection of what the person was wearing that day, do you?
No, sir.
Okay, you don't remember a red shirt,
No, sir.
afro?
No, sir.
All right, Mr. Pass. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any additional cross? Yes, Mr. App, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, Mr. Pass. How are you?
I'm doing well.
My name's Jay Apt. I represent Mr. Diamante Kendrick. Do you know who Diamante Kendrick is?
Never heard of him.
Do you know this man sitting in the white sweater next to me?
No, sir.
Does he have anything to do with this case that you're aware of?
No, sir.
Thank you. No other
Not that
questions?
I'm aware of.
No, I'm sorry. What was
Not that
that?
I'm aware of.
Thank you. No other questions.
Anybody else? Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
All right, at this point in time,
All right. That was that witness. Let's see who's next. Oh,
before you sit down.
I do.
Summer R. Benton, Summer. R is my middle initial. Benton, B as in boy, EN, T as in Tom, ON.
Good afternoon, Secretary.
Good afternoon.
Where are you currently employed?
City of Atlanta Police Department Homicide Unit,
And how long have you been with the city of Atlanta?
over 22 years,
How long have you been in the homicide?
almost 15 years.
Do you have any specialization within the homicide?
Yes, I do.
What is that?
I specialize in child murders, any type of child deaths, cold cases, and complex cases,
How long have you specialized in child murder?
since 2019.
Now, before becoming a homicide detective, what was your role within ADU?
Oh, I had many roles before coming to a homicide detective. After the academy, I was an officer in Zone 5 on the streets on a bicycle, handling 911 calls in a patrol car, specialized in vehicle larcenies, when a member of an undercover team for FIT.
yeah. Background and stuff we don't need.
Do you have any training of render?
Articles to get those. We have a course.
And we have a sidebar.
So, ladies and gentlemen, remember your admonitions. We're gonna be in recess 15 minutes. All rise.
Sidebar counter 95. Again, ridiculous. Ridiculous. I miss you guys in the chat. I miss the interaction, but this is the best I can do at the moment to record when I have the time, so I get caught up, and then we can continue with the streaming later in the week. Okay, so it's a 15-minute break. Let's see here. 3:49:32. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 minutes. A 30-minute, 15-minute break. Insanity.
I'll start with, what is 118?
118 is the crime scene drawing that I sketched, plus the legend.
And is 118 Charlie, how do you recognize it?
I drew it.
And is it fair and accurate?
Yeah, I'm skipping to cross-examination. Oh, look. That's inside the car. Oh, look. Weapon and chargers. Okay. I would guess that is a drawing of the laundromat and the car and which direction the car went. Rags, gloves, rag, glove, more photo. Let's see if this is cross-examination. Mr. Steele.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'd like to ask you a couple questions if I could.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It is my understanding, back in 2013, September 11th, that you came out to this scene that you've been talking about and educating the jury as a person who was going to either direct or take charge of memorializing or photographing and sketching the crime scene. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And the crime scene, as you articulated so eloquently, started with the vehicle, the 2004 Nissan Altima. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you physically take the pictures, or did you have one of the crime scene techs at your direction, of course? I know they're civilians, but did you direct them, hey, this is what I want you to do?
Yes, the crime scene text took all the photographs.
Okay. And that's under, I assume you were there, you were witnessing, making sure that it was done to your satisfaction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you, there's a lot more photographs taken that day. Is that fair to say than what you just introduced?
Oh,
to
absolutely.
The jury. Are you familiar with those photographs?
It's been over 10 years.
I understood. I'm going to show you in a little while, with the court's permission, the photographs for you to look through. But I want to ask you a couple questions first, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right. First of all, some witnesses, you've interviewed witnesses before, correct?
Yes, sir.
And sometimes events are startling, like a car flying over a police car. That's a traumatic, startling event, right? Or could be.
Objection made, Your Honor. That's the same question.
Have you ever seen a car fly over your patrol car?
My patrol car? No.
Okay. And at times, whether a police officer or a civilian like me, you know, when something unexpected happens, you may get confused. You may not see what you see, or you may see it perfectly. It depends on the person. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor, made. That's the same question.
Okay. When you take statements from a witness or a potential witness, sometimes that witness, although trying to give you the best information they can, sometimes their recollection may not be the same as recollection for other people. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor. Compound question.
That's what's a compound.
I'll sustain. You can rephrase, Mr. Steele.
Have you ever interviewed a witness where they said something in contradiction or conflict with, let's say, another witness?
Yes.
Okay. And that doesn't mean that the witness is lying. Like when I say lying, I mean intentionally fabricating. The witness may just have a different perception. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll rule the objection.
Yes.
And therefore, somebody in your position who has dedicated themselves to understanding, learning, and then teaching, you want to get as much.
Here we go again. Would it be anywhere near good to erase until you have the answers you are looking for? I can almost bet that is where he's going here. And the prosecution knows it, and they don't like it.
Information as possible from all sources to ensure, as best you can, that all information can one day be delivered potentially to a jury. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And amongst that, we have tools that are used to analyze evidence. Is that correct?
I have no idea what you were talking about.
Okay, photographs.
Oh, you mean demonstratives? Yes. Okay. Yes. Thank you.
No, that's fine. Fingerprint analysis.
Okay. So you're getting into expert testimony. Yes.
Sure. I mean, these are things that the criminal justice system as a whole can use. Defense lawyers can use it, prosecutors can use it, police can use it, judges can use it to try to get information from a scene. Is that fair to say?
Objection, Your Honor.
Basis.
Compound and testifying.
Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And you said, I think you articulated at the beginning, some of your background. I'm not saying it's all.
The prosecution is objecting to what is supposed to be standard police operational procedure. That should tell us all a lot when the prosecution objects to what it should be. Standardized procedure.
All of it. But you studied under the DEA, fair to say?
I took an investigative class with the DEA,
FBI,
took a street survival investigative class with the FBI,
GBI,
investigative class with the GBI.
and you're with APD.
Yes, sir.
And APD, for the ladies and gentlemen, jury, they probably know, but Atlanta Police Department.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you're processing a crime scene, you are potentially collecting evidence, or hopefully collecting evidence. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And the reason we do that, or you do that, is so you can bring to life for the jury, for the court, for the prosecutors, for the lawyers, for the witnesses who weren't there. You could bring what you saw or what you memorialized. Fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Now, you said the motto, I think I got this right, but the motto is of the Atlanta Police Department, something to the
Oh, I
effect-
never said it was the motto of the Atlanta Police Department.
Okay, well, I'm glad you said that. Your motto is we'd rather have the information and not need it than not have it.
That's not what I said.
What did you say?
I said we'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Okay, I apologize for misquoting you.
That is a good quote. Remember that, folks, for the entirety of this trial and any other trial you're watching. Remember that. It's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. Remember that. That's a t-shirt.
And the point that you made is if we are more inclusive with our information, the better the results could be later, potentially.
No,
What did you mean by it?
that we take every piece. I was talking about crime scene specifically. We try to take as much evidence as we can from the scene, whether or not it turns out to be evidence or not. At least we had it and we can determine later on, or the lead detective can determine later on if it's of evidentiary value. I didn't know much information going into the scene. I was just asked to come and process the scene.
Understood. And thank you for clarifying that. Now, does that include taking witness statements? Do you ever take a witness statement on a recording?
Yes, but on this day, I do not take any witness statements. My sole objective was to process the crime scene.
Understood. But in general, have you taken witness statements on a recording?
That are recorded?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Have you done it where you have the witness write out the statement, then verify that's what they said and they sign it?
Oh, I haven't done that in probably over 12 years.
Okay. Recording's the way to go.
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been in a position where you took a statement from a witness, you recorded it, and then you decided you're going to delete it and not send it over to anyone?
No.
That would be wrong?
Yes.
Tell the jurors why that would be wrong.
Because that's evidence. You're deleting evidence. It doesn't matter if that evidence showed that it meant nothing, but it was a part of your investigative file.
If it is it a crime to delete evidence?
I'm sure it is. Yes.
Called obstruction of justice,
Amongst other things.
tampering with evidence?
I love this witness. Not only the way she says it, but the fact she's actually surprised this is even a question for her. And that speaks volumes to the main witnesses, the main officers. Let's say, hypothetically, a certain police detective officer, whatever is, who is functioning both as an expert witness and as a fact witness. And then you had Mr. Velasquez, who seemed, well, this is standard to erase until I get the testimony, the statements I want, because it's obvious he's lying. And then nobody needs to hear that. So let's speed run it up to the information I need and want. But it seems like he's quite alone, in at least here. And yeah. Or he might be might not be alone, but Mr. Velasquez, but Jesus Christ.
Evidence?
And probably oath of office.
Violation of oath of a police officer's office if the officer did that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I want to ask you a couple of questions. And the photographs.
Okay.
Now, when you arrived first on this scene, was the, jurors may know this, but they may not. Just explain, is in the pictures, there's some yellow tape. Just explain what that does and the meaning of that.
I'm speeding up.
That's the do not cross tape. So when first responding officers, which is our uniform officers, get to a scene, we ask them to basically secure the scene. So they secure it with yellow crime scene tape. It's that tape that you see, whether you see it on the street, by chance happen to pass by a crime scene, or you see it on TV a lot too. It says crime scene, do not cross. And then we have officers stationed there to make sure pedestrian traffic does not get in.
And the reason, if you don't mind just telling jurors, why is that so important?
So that nothing contaminates the scene. We don't want anything to come into the scene that was not already in the scene.
And could that be contamination, be like somebody could remove a piece of evidence that may be valuable?
Absolutely.
Pick up, I'm making stuff up, pick up a shell casing. And
Absolutely.
Walk away with it. Even if they didn't intentionally pick it up, maybe it could get stuck in their foot or something, or the base of their shoe if they have little ridges in the shoe like boots.
Yes, sir. We've had it in previous crime scenes, not this particular one, where somebody may drive through a scene and it gets in the tires, a shell casing or something.
Yeah, that was just an example.
Yeah.
Or somebody could drop something and then add to the crime scene that should not have been there if they kept out of that do not enter
Yes, sir.
area. Okay. Was that done in this case as far as you remember?
I believe it was.
Okay. We can see it in some pictures, but I just want to make sure. And that's standard procedure, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Then when somebody like you shows up, you and your coworkers, and in this case, I know they're all your coworkers, the authorities who show up, but the civilian crime scene techs, they are trained as well. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And they're trained to take photographs starting, if you know, back and then intermediate and then close up. Is that
Yes, sir.
true? Can you just explain to the jury why that's important?
So you want to be able to see the scene from a distance. Then they come in closer, about 50%, take another photograph. Then they'll actually go up to the evidence and take a very close photograph, which is normally an aerial view of the evidence. But the first couple photographs they take are just of the scene in general.
Flashback to the Murdoch trial. Remember the absolute lack of good photos? And Zachariah Anderson case, absolute lack of good photos. This witness is telling you how it's supposed to be done. Remember what she is saying for every trial I'm going to cover and have covered. Remember this.
Just so you can visualize what it looked like that day.
And is that to put things in context? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Because if we just take the one up close, I'm just making up, but a shell casing or blood, you don't really know what that is possibly. So you take it further back, closer, and then up close. Is that all true?
Yes, sir.
Okay. With regards to the vehicle, when you got there, did you order or direct, I'm not saying you'd order, but did you ask, politely, the crime scene technicians who were photographing to take placard 1? It's the 2004 Nissan reddish Altima. Just take it the way it was.
Yeah, I just looked ahead and she is there for the rest of the day. Jesus Christ, it's an hour. And I have
take the pictures the way
Let's
the
go.
vehicle
Yes.
appeared. And you explained to the jury, I believe, on direct examination a little bit, that it's not right to go through the car yet or adjust the car or move the car until those photographs are taken. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And that's because, like you were saying, you want the purity of the scene, and then we can put the placards in or adjust the evidence or take close-ups. Is that all true?
Yes, sir.
Guess what? Previous testimony might not indicate that was done in this case. How about that?
Now, when you first got, and I don't remember, I may need the help. When you first got to the scene, you took number one. If you don't, you don't talk about it. May I just have 1 second, Your Honor? I apologize, detective. Just give me 1 second, okay?
Fine.
Let me do this one.
Skipping ahead.
Benton, show her defendant, Mr. Williams, excuse me, Mr. Williams, exhibit number 80 to 196, if you don't mind. And then detective, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. When Mr. Kokomo, with your permission and the court's permission approaches, just make 2 piles. Anything that you don't remember, you didn't do, or you didn't see, just put it on one side. Everything that you could say, yep, this is how it looked on the scene. And I directed the photograph, put it on the other side, okay?
Okay.
Is that okay, Your Honor?
Have you, is the state seen defendant
I
Williams?
have not, Your Honor.
Are there a second set of crime scene photos? Are there a Oh, crap.
Look at these right now.
Let
Yeah, they already established that some of the cops were tampering with evidence. And, oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. Oh, please make it be so that there is a second set of crime scene photographs.
him know when you're done, okay? It's just here, just pausing, please, okay?
Sure. This is the same as on the phone. Attorney's looking at that. Can I ask you just a couple of questions?
Yes, sir. That's why I'm here.
Appreciate it. The photographs that you've been identifying already,
Yes, sir.
they have metadata. Is that, you know, I'm talking about properties?
I'm well aware of what metadata is.
I didn't mean to insult you.
That's okay.
Can you just tell the jurors in case somebody does not know what that is?
Metadata. So especially if you look on a camera or a thumb drive or a SIM card, especially in cell phones, metadata can take you back and tell you exactly when that photograph was taken, what day it was taken, the time it was taken, and how much
Oh,
pixels.
it's going to
I mean, there's a lot of
be-
stuff that goes with metadata.
It's going to
And if
be...
during the course of our communication today, if you need to see the properties, just let us know, okay?
Okay.
Or the metadata.
Well, it's been 11 years, so I'm hoping I can remember as much as you think I can.
So you just do the best you can.
Oh. Prosecution might have stepped in it royally this time, because if they have handed over crime scene photos to the defense, who are clearly taken on different occasions, even if it's hours in between, and she does not recognize it as pictures she has taken or directed to taken or looked at under her first investigation, that it should be thrown out completely in this case, in my opinion. I don't think that would happen, because after 2.5 months of trial, we know this judge will allow just about anything and leave it to the jury or postpone or anything.
Consecutive, sir. So may Mr. Kokomo approach the honorable detective with Mr. Williams Exhibit 80, and they're consecutive, sir. So
Okay.
it goes up to 196.
Okay, I said I only have 10 minutes left. I want to hear this. I want to hear this. Ugh. I should be on my way to work already. Seriously, folks, if you haven't pressed that thumbs up and liked this video stream premiere, do it now. Please make it worthwhile to me. Please. Thank you.
Has the state seen, examined those?
I have, and what was the last number, Mr. Steele, you said?
196.
Okay,
83, but 196.
Your Honor, and I can approach, when the court would like, 122 through 172, and 173 to 195, the state has separate objections to, whenever the court would like to.
Oh,
But I will wait. till-
you have objections to some of it.
Hold on a second.
Remember, of prosecution, this is evidence you handed over to the defense as evidence in this
Thank you.
underlying act in the RICO case. Oh, you 2 hour words. We have a sidebar. Sidebar counter number 96. Oh, the panic in the prosecution's office. Panic, panic, panic. Skipping ahead.
Yeah, because they're not in evidence. Just tell us which one. Copy for Detective Benton. Thank you, sir. Detective, again, just do me a favor. If you need to clear out space, just don't say anything yet because they're not in evidence. Just tell us which ones you recognize, which ones you don't. If you need something to refresh your memory, just let us know.
Okay, so just to clarify, you want me to go through over 100 photos and put which ones I remember and which ones I don't?
Yes, which ones that you were there directing, which ones that you don't remember, if any.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Oh, she's honest. She's honest.
Quick question. Are you supposed to, am I supposed to try to remember this from the scene or if I've remembered these photographs? Because I've never actually seen any of the photographs.
Either way, from the scene.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. We're talking about the scene, when you're out at the scene. Okay, talking about the same thing, I think. September 11, 2013.
No, I didn't know if you were asking what photographs I remembered or if I remember stuff from the scene. That's all I was clarifying. Okay.
We're both, either one. You'll tell us.
Look at that. She is. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good cop. Give her a raise. Give her all the monies. Give her. This is one of the good ones. This is why the prosecution was so desperate. They knew they screwed up. They knew. Now it can be that she just can't remember it, or that she simply. Oh, this is amazing. Skipping ahead. Oh, she's thorough.
You ready?
Mhm.
Okay. Tell me which ones you recognize.
This was the scene I processed.
Okay.
This was a secondary scene from behind me that I was not in charge of. And I guess when they processed the vehicle at the annex, I wasn't there for that.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So the scene of the crime scene sketch that I did, just that particular scene of where the crashed vehicle is, the patrol car, the trunk of that vehicle, where the blood 1 through 10. Yes, sir. That's 1 through 10 of the crime scene sketch, not the actual photographs. That was the scene I was asked to take charge of that scene solely. The house behind it and all of that, that was not where I was asked to go.
So just to make it, Your Honor, do you mind if I ask a question? Just to make it easy for the court and the jurors, tell us which Mr. Williams exhibit number, it should be on the upper left of the photograph you're looking at. Just go through one by one so that everyone can follow you. Which photographs truly and accurately depict the scene that it shows that you're referring to?
At least truly and accurately depict the scene I was
That's what
in
we're
charge of.
The ones that you can testify about.
So 80,
Okay?
81,
Yes.
82, 89,
Hold on
90.
Hold on one second. Hold on.
Okay, so there
Okay,
is.
just for the record, you
different
skipped 83
crime
through
scenes
88. Is that fair to
which
say?
can
Yeah, I
have,
didn't remember
Okay.
what the front of the store looked like.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Okay. 2 different crime scene, and she only processed one of them. Okay, so that has a natural explanation.
I didn't want to lie on the sand.
No, don't do that. Okay, go ahead.
90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 97,
Hold on one second. Okay.
98, 99,
Hold on, go too fast.
101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 111, 112, 113, 114, 116, 117.
One thing that's kind of weird is why does it skip around that much? Why is the okay?
118, 141,
Hold on one second.
I'm still wondering over the question surrounding
Okay.
metadata.
143, 144, 155,
Hold on one second, please.
Yeah, I mean the metadata must mean something, anything
I'm with you.
that it is ours.
156, 157, 158, 159,
Because these are the important ones that she processed.
160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 165,
Because if there's something in those photos that is not in a report or in evidence, then you have an issue as well.
166, 167, 168, 169, 170, 171, 172, 173, and 174.
And then 175, just for the record, completeness, 196, do not recognize. Fair to say?
No, because this was taken with the trajectory rods and I wasn't there for that.
Okay.
This was in the annex and I was not there for that.
Tell the jurors what the annex is, if you don't mind.
Oh, so anytime we have a vehicle that was involved in a crime and we needed to further process it, everything gets transported to the public safety annex, which is off of Donnelly Hollow Parkway. And we have cages, vehicle cages that we secure the vehicles into these cages so nobody can get in and out of the cages. And there's roofs. There are outdoor cages, but there's a roof and they're fenced in. And so if a vehicle's in one of the cages and it needs to be processed, the detectives will go out to the cage. They will meet a crime scene, check at the cage, and they will further process the vehicle at that point.
Detective Ben, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen jury who did, if you know, who did the processing at the annex?
I have no idea.
Life Foundation. Do I have these back? Yeah. Okay. All right, Your Honor, I move for the admission of Mr. Williams 80, 1, 2, 89,
Okay, we can skip ahead.
1, 0.
114, 116, 118, 141, 1.
No.
Okay. You ready? Your Honor, with the court's permission, Mr. Kokomo will be showing, and with the help of Detective Ben, Mr. Williams, number 80.
Or maybe this wasn't as important as I thought, but we will find out.
Okay. Detective, you see on the screen, you also have it in front of you, if that's easier, but either way, Mr. Williams, number 80, fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. And that is in the part where you see the glass, it says ATM kind of in the center of the entire exhibit. You see that?
Yes.
That's part of the yellow crime scene tape that you were talking about. Is that fair to say?
That the officers took, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying you put it up, but that's done to preserve, like you said, the integrity of the scene. That may be my words. That's what it's doing, right?
The core scene, yes.
One more time.
The core scene.
Yes. And then I'd like to focus on the 2004 Nissan reddish color. I'm going to say red Altima. Both doors on the driver's side. You see it's a 4-door car.
Yes, sir.
They're shut. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And this is how you found it when you first got there before manipulating anything with the car, right?
Before myself or I directed anybody to manipulate the car, yes.
Okay.
I don't know what it looked like prior to me getting there, only when I got there.
Okay. And then there'll be other pictures, but there's 2 items also red that are near or leaning up against the car. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Can you just show that to the jurors using your device at your fingertip? Okay.
Is
I'd
that like that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. And those are items that you observed came from the car.
Yes, they appear to be like fenders or bumpers.
Okay. Mr. Williams, number 81. It looks like a similar picture to me, but I just want to make it be complete. You had this picture taken, but now we see the City of Atlanta police issued patrol vehicle in the picture as well. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
All right. If I leave something out, just let me know, but I'm going to go to 82, okay? 82, it's a similar, I'm not saying it's the same, but it's a similar picture depicting similar items.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now 89. Now this shows the vehicle as you observed it impacting in that building, correct?
No, I didn't observe it impact anything. I just observed it sitting
True.
where it appeared to have impacted.
Okay.
Yes.
You come after the fact.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. And in this, you see a better photograph of a portion of the vehicle right there, even with, or looks even with the driver's door area that's also red in color. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And that's what you were saying earlier. Could be, I'm not saying it is, but could be part of the car's bumper.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I'm going to skip to the next one, which is number 90, Mr. Williams. And here in Mr. Williams, number 90, if you see towards the rear of that 2004 Altima vehicle, you see, is that fair to say that's the trunk area, leaned up against, connected to, some way leaning on the car? Fair
Yes.
to say? Okay. When I say trunk area, like what I call the lid of the trunk?
Sure.
Okay. Number 91. That is again, we're looking at, just to orient the jurors, the rear driver's side of the Altima vehicle. And you can see part of what we're saying is potentially the trunk area leaning up against the car, as well as a blue item. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And also prominent here is money and what I believe to be suspected blood.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the ladies and gentlemen jury anything about that blood, if you have any knowledge when you see something like that?
It appeared to be coagulated.
Can you just explain that?
It just appears to be it's thickened up. A lot of times when you bleed, if you'll notice, a lot of times if you don't clean the wound right off the bat, it thickens up and it's looked like this thick layer. That's kind of a basic way to describe it. The blood basically is just pooled together and it's just thickening as it receives oxygen.
And with that blood, that is on the driver's side rear of the Altima. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to 92. And that is U.S. currency, appears to be U.S. currency on the ground, right?
That's correct.
And then do you see the little red items throughout that scene, the dots? I'm
Yes.
kind of playing it down, but
It's blood spatter.
okay. And are you familiar with blood spatter?
Oh, yes.
Tell the ladies and gentlemen how you are familiar with that.
I've been a homicide detective for almost 15 years. I've seen a lot of blood spatter.
And can you explain what, if blood is spattered, what does that mean?
So if somebody gets injured and they move, most likely the blood's going to go somewhere. If you ever noticed, if anybody's ever been and like they've cut themselves or they've cut their fingers and they go to move, the blood goes down. It's spattered on the table or the floor or wherever. That's blood spatter.
Are you familiar with blood having a tail and a head to it? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I am.
Can you just explain to ladies and gentlemen jury what that means?
It helps you determine the directionality of the person, which way the person was going. Blood spatter can tell you a story.
And the tail means what? So,
You're going in a specific direction.
okay. Is that similar to, I don't want to make this too simple, but if you dip a paintbrush into paint, splash on the wall, you'd see is that fair to say?
Sure.
All right, I have 93. Similar photograph that we just discussed, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Just a closer view.
All right, and this is what you explained earlier, you take it far away, then intermediate, then closer.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's go to 94. Now we're looking away from the car and towards the retaining wall where the police officer's car is. I know it's not in the picture, but is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And that's presumably part of the red Nissan Altima vehicle 2004.
That's correct.
All right. Let's look at now the 97, which is Mr. Williams in Evans, okay? We are now at the rear of the vehicle facing the wall that the vehicle presumably struck. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. We're at the rear of the vehicle. Yes.
Towards the wall where the vehicle presumably struck. We're looking towards the wall.
Oh, you mean the wall of the store? Yes.
Laundromat.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, I think you called it a coin laundromat. And now we're looking at the passenger side, correct?
That's correct.
And this is also depicting the passenger side, front and rear doors closed. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
All right, this is how when you get there and your team gets there, this is how you found it.
Yes, sir.
And on the back of the car, I know you weren't noticing the car before you get to the scene, but it may be missing a bumper. Fair to say?
Oh, that's correct.
Okay, and that was found in the scene.
Yes.
Okay. If Mr. Kokomo can zoom in, I'd like you to look with us, if you can, towards the two doors, the rear door and the driver's door. Excuse me, I'm wrong. The front passenger door and the rear passenger door. You see that there is some damage there, or buckling, where the two doors come together, the rear and the front. Do you see
Yes.
that? Okay. And do you remember, and I know it's going back years, I heard you say that, but do you remember it being hard to open the rear passenger door?
Objection, Your Honor.
Do you?
I have no recollection.
Okay, that's all right.
I wouldn't have opened the door.
Or directed someone to open the door.
It would have been the crime scene tech that would have opened the door.
Okay. Do you notice, if Mr. Kokomo can be so kind, going to the front a little more, pulling in? Do you remember right there is perfect. The rear passenger door being,
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not evidence.
do you remember the rear passenger door being dislodged from the frame of the car?
Objection, Your Honor. Facts not evidence.
Oh,
Being
it's
dislodged?
overruling.
Not being aligned anymore.
Oh, I'm not entirely sure, but it seems to be some inconsistencies in what the prosecution has alleged in this. Otherwise, the defense wouldn't have pointed it out, and the prosecution wouldn't have objected wildly, desperately.
No, I don't remember that.
Are you saying, you're not saying it didn't happen, you're saying I don't have enough?
Correct.
Okay, all right, let's continue. This is Mr. Williams, number 98, if that's okay. And here again is looking at the rear passenger side where the bumper's missing of the same vehicle, fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And we see that blue item, you see that item?
Yes.
And then we have what you could describe it, suspected blood, is that fair to say?
Sure.
And is it showing anything to your keen eye directions?
I would love to tell you, but I'm not a blood spatter expert.
Okay, that's fine. We are now looking with the court's permission at number 99. And this has money, what I believe to be US currency. If you don't know from that picture, we could show you another one.
No.
On the passenger side floor, is near the, I'll say near the car, but however far away from the car.
Yes.
Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And intermixed with blood in that area.
That's correct.
Okay. And in this photograph, we see a little bit, just a little bit of that broken glass
Make it
in the
worth it,
passenger
please.
rear window. You see that?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to go to Mr. Williams, number 101.
I don't know if that was picked up by the microphone, but Mr. Jingles is asleep and farting. Oh. Damn cat.
And do you see there that there is what I'll call a airbag deployed in the front passenger, through the front passenger window of that photograph, now memorialized as Mr. Williams exhibit number 101? You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, you see the front area of that car juxtaposed into that wall of the laundromat. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 102. This is what you explained. There was an intermediate, now the close-up of the money intermixed with blood, right?
Yes.
All right. 103.
Hold on. Yeah, there might be some blood on top of the money, but it seems mostly to be on top of the blood. Why is that? Why is that? Or does it have anything to do with the previous witness? Not the previous, but the civilian witness who said he dropped the money there before they disappeared from the apartments and then made the flying car thing. So where did that money come from? That's interesting.
With blood, right?
Yes.
Right. 103. In this one, you authorized taking, or you directed taking a picture, and that shows some sort of, it looks like cement, maybe not caused by when the vehicle slammed into the wall, right?
Yes.
And then there's an item that's red. You see that red item? Looks like it's coming in a downward angle. Do you know
Yes.
do you know what that is by any chance? From the car?
I have no clue.
That's fine. Okay, let's go to the, this is the front end of the car on the passenger side, showing how it is juxtaposed to the laundromat. Fair to say?
Yes.
All right. And, oh, I'm sorry, and that was 104. Was that true?
Yes.
All right, number 105. This is a farther back or intermediate, you tell us, and you see the crime scene unit or the crime scene tape in the back. You see that?
Yes, sir.
And also in number 5, you see the fire engine and other first responders, law enforcement authorities. You see that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then again, this is now, we're looking at the passenger side of the car, and you see that blue item?
Yes.
Do you even know what that blue item is?
No.
Okay. And you can see in here that window broken out that you described in the rear window of the passenger.
Yes, sir.
Rear passenger.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'd like to go to 106. This is how the trunk appeared when you found it?
Yes, sir.
Fair to say? And you see that blue item standing up next to the vehicle?
Yes.
And then you have like a miracle bubble. You see that?
Yes.
And then you could tell us, but it looks like a bag, some items of clothing, maybe shoe, to that effect. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Number 107 of Mr. Williams. That's the further back view of that trunk area and the car. Fair to
Yes, sir.
say? Okay, and we just looked at a closer up view in 106, correct?
Yes, sir.
Number 108, this is now the driver's side of the vehicle, fair to say?
Yes, sir.
And that's a better picture, is it not, of the trunk being dislodged from the vehicle?
Yes.
All right, and then the bumper being dislodged from the vehicle, front bumper.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then in the background, you see the ambulance, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, 109 of Mr. Williams. If you don't know this, just say, this is not what you do. That is a retaining wall, correct?
Yes.
And that's where the car that we've been talking about, the 2004 Altima, Nissan Altima, supposedly flew off of, crashing into the side of the coin laundromat. Is that accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Has some trees down in that picture of Mr. Williams, number 109?
Yes.
Okay. 111 of Mr. Williams. We've discussed, I believe, all of these items, and this is just the further away look. Is that true?
A different angle.
Okay. It also has, I don't know if they're, you correct me. Are they skid marks? What would that be?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that's made, do you know which tire would make that?
No, that would not be in my job.
That's fine. Okay, let's go to number 112 of Mr. Williams. You see on, and Mr. Kokomo can help us, you see on the right-hand side, center, but a little lower than center, right behind the rear bumper, see the rear red bumper?
Yes.
And you see the gouge marks in the pavement?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is that also beyond, you don't want to comment on how that was made, do you?
I wouldn't know. No, yes, sir.
Okay, that's fine. Do you know what the item is that's right in front of the rear red bumper of Mr. Williams 112?
Something that's supposed to go in the trunk.
Okay, do you know what it is by any chance?
I believe it's that carpet section that goes over where the spare tire was.
Say it one more time.
Not the carpet section, but that, when you open the trunk and then you have to pull that piece out to get the spare tire out, that piece.
With the little,
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I
Okay.
just know that's where you found the spare.
with the screw that holds it in.
Yes, sir.
Got it.
How is that on the ground being lodged out, but not the items? Huh.
And was that in Mr. Williams number 113? When Mr. Kokomo can get us there? If you know from the scene, is that the spare tire that came out of the trunk?
I believe it is. I can't say because I don't know if the
How-
trunk car had a spare tire, but
How did that get lodged out, but all the items are still in the trunk?
totality of circumstances, yeah, you can presume it.
Okay. Mr. Williams, number 114, can you tell us what that is? And if you don't remember, it's okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, you said Mr. Williams. Can you tell me what that is? I thought you were asking somebody else.
No, Mr. Williams, number 114, can you tell us what that item is?
Okay, I'm not Mr. Williams, but okay.
Let me rephrase. It's exhibit, Mr. Williams, exhibit number
Thank you.
114. Detective Benton, can you tell us what that item is that's in the center of that?
No, I cannot.
Okay. Can we go back to item, not item, but Mr. Williams, exhibit number 107 just for a moment, if you don't mind? I think it's coming up.
Oh, okay.
And if Mr. Kokomo can do me a favor, and right in the center top, if he can zoom in on that. Detective, can you circle if you see the video surveillance camera?
Oh,
laundromat, please.
Oh, there was a surveillance video, a surveillance camera. Oh, and every cop who, there was surveillance camera. And cops testified under oath, did not collect any. Did not collect any.
And would it be in your purview to either order somebody to look at the video surveillance or obtain the video surveillance or check the video surveillance? What is your position at that point on this scene? I know on other scenes it may be different.
That is not my purview.
Whose purview is that?
As the lead detective or whoever they delegate to do that.
Who's the lead detective in this case?
Detective Quinn.
Okay. All right. And I apologize for going backwards. Let's go to
Uh-oh.
number 114.
There was
And I think-
surveillance.
When you get a chance, can you just clear the screen for us?
Oh, sorry.
Is there anything of value? See right in the center, in that space, maybe two spaces, before you get to the rectangle in yellow? Is there anything of value that you remember from that item?
No, sir.
Okay. Okay. So 114 is really just another angle of the police vehicle and the 2004 Nissan Altima Red.
Yes, sir.
Number 116. This is how you explained earlier. This gives a great view of the distance for the retaining wall where the car presumably flew over and the items that were debris in the vehicle.
Yes, sir.
And then the police car with the 2 open doors.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Going to number 117. This is, and you tell me if I'm wrong, but this is simply just a little higher view of that retaining wall with the trees down, the fence down. You see the fence down in this photograph?
Yes.
And then the house is behind it, of course.
Yes.
Okay. Number 118, similar view, but it's more depicting the trees down, the fence down. Is that fair to say with the retaining wall kind of closest in the picture?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to go to Mr. Williams, number 141. And this is the other side. So all you're doing is showing in context, both looking from the pavement up to the retaining wall and now from the retaining wall in the house down to the pavement. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Otherwise, it's pretty much things that we discussed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Can we go back to number 141 before we leave there for 1 second, if you don't mind? I'd like Mr. Kokomo, with his permission, can you all the way over to the about 3/4 of the way over to the right? You see a fence? Can you see the fence?
Oh, yes, sorry.
No, that's okay. And in front of the fence appears to be, I'm not saying it is, but if you remember, appears to be like where people would put their garbage.
I believe there was a dumpster right there.
Okay. And then that fence has what, when I was a little boy, called barbed wire. Is that what you see?
Yes.
Okay. And that barbed wire is pointed inward, meaning it's leaning. So if anyone to climb over it, it's hard to, that's why it's there. It's hard to climb.
And the cops testified they were climbing over that fence. A barbed wired fence leaning inwards. Yeah, that's really hard to jump over or climb over without injuring yourself severely.
I'm over that. Is that fair to
Yes,
say?
that's correct.
And the reason for, well, you tell the jurors, what do people have, or what is barbed wire's purpose?
Just to prevent somebody from entering that particular part of the property.
And if somebody touches barbed wire, what can happen?
Oh, they get shredded.
When you say shredded, that sounds like a police officer term.
Sorry, their skin gets cut.
Okay. And there's barbed wire all throughout that fence. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sure.
Okay. Let's go to number 142 of Mr. Williams, if you don't mind. This is again, we are looking at going from the above the retaining wall down to the area where the Ultima crashes. Fair to say?
Yes, sir.
Now, there's an item, if you notice, I'm not saying the Ultima was an area we touched, but you see an item now covering that area we discussed earlier with the rear bumper. Do you see that on the ground?
Oh, yes.
Do you know what that is or how that got there?
No,
Okay, that's after, that's why you take all these pictures, right?
no, that's not an item covering. That is the top of, looks like a little shed type area. That's the top of the shed that's coming out. Just the angle of it looks like it's on the ground, but it's not actually on the ground. It's on the shed.
You're right. Okay, that is not on the ground.
No, sir.
I apologize. Thank you. Thank you. I see what you're saying. If Mr. Kokomo can blow it up, you can even see the kind of the brown structure holding up that what I thought was on the ground. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And actually, number 143 would have showed me my error. That's the item, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And otherwise, everything else is the way you described it. True?
Yes, sir.
Let's go to number 144. I'm not saying it's the same, but it's a similar picture. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
145. I'd like to talk about that. Now, law enforcement officers are taking pictures.
I don't have a 145.
I said 155. If I said
Oh,
145,
I'm
I
sorry.
apologize. I meant 155.
Yes.
You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Now, law enforcement officers are, through your direction, or excuse me, civilian crime scene techs, they are getting closer to the car and they're taking a picture of the broken glass.
Yes, sir.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
And if Mr. Kokomo can blow up into the car, do you see that item that looks like there's it's, I'm going to say black in color or dark in color?
Yes.
And do you know what that item is?
No.
Okay. Is it inside the car? And if you can't tell, just say.
It is inside the car. Yes.
All right. I'm going to skip one number, but I promise you I'll come right back to it. If we could show 157. Do you see what has been marked and entered into evidence of Mr. Williams, number 157?
Yes.
And this is the rear seat of the car, right?
That's correct.
And you didn't put any items there. You wouldn't let anyone do that.
Correct.
That would be totally inappropriate, right?
That's correct.
That would be tampering with evidence, tampering with the crime scene, right?
Absolutely.
So here, in the passenger rear, there is items, correct?
Yes.
And let's just go through some of these items, if that's okay with you. On the ground,
There's also blood on that seat, and the items are on top of it. Huh.
It looks like to me, and we're going to show other pictures, but on the floor, well, I guess it's the floorboard. Do you see what's called, it says it looks like the insignia for Burger King. Do you see something like that?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see in front of it or next to it, I guess, what later is found to be a cell phone?
Yes.
And do you see underneath that item is what was found later to be a cell phone? Do you see that?
Yes.
Would you do me a favor and just, for the ladies and gentlemen, jury, just circle and go in order and just tell them what you're looking at. First the Burger King, second cell phone, third cell, or first cell phone, second cell phone.
Burger King. Cell phone. And I believe the other cell phone is over there somewhere.
What is closest, if you don't mind, to us, the way Mr. Kokomo blew it up on the floorboard? You see that item?
I'm not real 100% sure what that is.
Okay, let's just
Based off
talk
this
about,
photo.
that's fine. Let's just talk about, first of all, that, what I'm calling Burger King item, okay? You can leave those up there if you don't
Oh,
mind.
sorry.
Just, it's fine. Just on Mr. Williams, number 157, just point to or circle or something, the Burger King item again, if you don't mind. On the screen.
Oh, what'd you need me to do? I'm sorry.
That's fine. Just what you did before, just point to or circle the Burger King item. I want to talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know what type of texture, what type of compound that item is?
Objection, Your Honor. This is speculation on the texture of Burger King cup sitting in the back of his car 10 years ago. What it's made of? I'll stand.
Do you know what that item is made of? And I don't need compounds, just is it paper, is it plastic? Do you know?
Looks like styrofoam.
Okay, styrofoam. Now, do you know whether styrofoam holds, let's say, you know what DNA is?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm very well aware of DNA.
just don't go into everything unless you need to.
Okay.
Just tell the ladies and gentlemen, what is DNA and how does it use to police business that you do?
What type of DNA would you like for me to talk about?
Let's start with touch DNA.
Touch DNA is fairly new in the DNA world. Anything you touch nowadays, I can get DNA from. Everybody leaves epithelial cells behind. So that pencil that you guys are writing with, or that paper that you guys are writing with, or touching the side of a chair, you're going to leave behind part of your skin cells. We can come back and do touch DNA. Now, once it gets to the lab, that's another story because it's going to depend on how many alleles they have as to whether they can get a full STR genetic profile, if they need to go through mitochondrial DNA or YSTR DNA.
She's
It just depends.
good.
I would go into DNA a lot
She's
further.
good.
However, there's a lot more, and I don't think we have enough time in the next 6 months to go over it.
How about if it's a cup? And
If it's a cup, it depends. You could possibly get it from styrofoam. I've never actually swabbed styrofoam before. That would be a question for probably a DNA expert. However, I would think possibly prints. It also depends on, because styrofoam, the condensation on the outside of the styrofoam cup is pretty bad, and that can contaminate or get rid of DNA, and also can contaminate prints.
Come on up, please.
Oh, the prosecution does not like this at all. Because, as if I remember correctly, they didn't take any fingerprints. And sidebar counter number 97. Oh, I'm running late for work. And I had a busy schedule to begin with, but this is good. Come on, Judge. What are you?
All right, Detective Benton, can you, we're going to recess for the evening. Can we get you to come back on Wednesday at 10 o'clock?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I'm going to excuse you till then. Please don't discuss your testimony with except the attorneys in this case. Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, madam.
Okay. Let's see if they're going to
And
talk about.
And Mr. Williams, you have your order yet? Okay. Can you have Mr. BC check on that, or Mr. Bossi check on that? I have sent in or responded that accordingly, but if you could just check on it, okay? Because if not,
For you who might not remember, Miss De Williams, a week and a half ago, there was issues about her salary from the public defender's office, and they got together with a new deal. Apparently, the public defender's office are having issues actually sending over the documents, and so even the judge is getting involved in getting everything ready. And if you don't recall that, go back a few streams regarding that, because oh my God, that the public defender's, the head of the public defender's office sat on that witness stand and was a complete jerk.
I'll have to have everybody come back. So maybe I'll send an email to that effect. So, okay, all right. Okay,
Judge, we also have a matter of a 911 call, that we'd like to address for the reports on Wednesday.
enough at this point in time, but I'll certainly, you can finish your argument at that point. I think I was waiting on to hear more testimony, so I heard that testimony at this point in time, so I'll let you all finish your argument on that issue. Okay? All right? Which we've heard.
All right. Jesus Christ, I'm running late. But, yeah. All right. Day 36, finally, I got to it. And, yeah. Anything else? Put it in the comment section. Don't forget the thumbs up. Thank you all. Thousands of you. I don't know. But I should be with you all in the chat when this is done. And I'm a half an hour late. So let's just say it like it is. Thank you for allowing me to try to translate this trial to you, guide us all through it, and hug your family. Unless your family is shit, then screw them and give your love to the people who deserve it. Okay? Bye-bye.